Let's go to Stephen Conroy, our Sky News colleague, former Labor frontbencher. Stephen, great to see you. I want to start with Joel Fitzgibbon's comments in relation to the election campaign. He said Labor made a huge mistake in not talking up its support for coal and coal projects and the jobs that come from them during the campaign. What do you make of that?
Look, I think Joel's dead right. I think Labor allowed itself to be positioned alongside the anti-development, anti-growth, anti-job Greens party, and that left Labor vulnerable to a scare campaign. I mean, Joel has consistently, I've sat in rooms for 20 years with Joel, and he has consistently said, if you want to have such an aggressive climate change position, putting it together with a renewable target and an ETS and a renewable target of such significant size of around 45–50%, you will have and create economic stress for Australians. And Joel has argued that consistently over 20 years that I've known him, and his position, particularly given the backlash against Labor's policies, where he copped nearly a 20% swing. He almost lost the seat to a One Nation candidate. It wouldn't have been much to see One Nation be 2 or 3 points higher and above the National Party candidate. And because the Nationals preferenced One Nation, you could have seen the One Nation candidate pushed above Joel to defeat. So I think Joel is absolutely right to be belling this cat. It is not a test of whether or not you're pro or anti-climate change, whether or not you develop a coal mine. And Australia can supply coal to the world for a long, long time and still meet its climate objectives. This is poor positioning by Labor, and we got caught, and we paid a terrible price in Queensland for being caught flat-footed on this issue.
Well, that said, should Anthony Albanese review the renewable energy target and the emissions reductions target as they are at the moment?
Well, I think Anthony's indicated that all of Labor's policies are on the table. And I think what Australians want to see is they want to see a move to renewables. That is unarguable, and Labor has been leading that charge when it comes to the coalition for years. But what Labor's got to do is put forward a pragmatic pathway to achieve this. There was no science or religion even to 25% versus 45%. They were numbers that were about a political argument. What Australians want to see is a pathway forward to renewables that doesn't see risks of electricity supplies going, dark, supply running out under, in summers, and it doesn't want to see prices going through the roof as supply is ripped out of the system before new supply is online. This is not hard. This is basic 101 economics. If you massively reduce the supply before you've got an alternate reliable supply, prices will go up. And the Liberals have got the same problem. They can keep pretending they're going to drive electricity prices down, but there's only so many times Josh Frydenberg can pick up the phone to CEOs of electricity companies on the quiet and demand they lower prices. This is a market economy. The Treasurer knows that. Yeah. He played that card before the election. He will not be able to keep doing it.
And we're seeing, the market move. The billionaire Sanjeev Gupta going to build the largest solar farm in the nation, along with the Chinese investment. So, as you say, the market just moves in that direction anyway.
Absolutely. The market is going to renewables. This is a good thing. And what the debate's got to be about from Labor, forget the Greens, they'll be loons on this. I mean, I heard Sarah Hanson-Young this morning on the radio basically opposing all coal mining, developing new oil fields. I mean, this is insane. This is caveman politics. And the Labor Party is better than that. The Labor Party needs to have a pragmatic way forward. The path to renewables is what everybody agrees on. Let's be sensible and pragmatic. And I welcome Albo's comments that everything's on the table for a review. We've just got to get that balance right. We didn't get the balance right. Joel is absolutely spot on to make that point.
Was this perhaps emblematic in the electric car announcement during the election, that there would be, Labor would demand that 50% of all new cars sold by 2030 be electric? Was that something that really scared people? Would you be urging Anthony Albanese to drop that?
No, I think the path to electric cars The government got itself in a mess in those first few days because suddenly it was attacking actual products in the marketplace. The car companies behind the scenes were furious because to try and win a political argument, the government were denigrating products in the marketplace today and stunting the growth of those products, which people want. Where you've got to be pragmatic in a country the size of Australia, and this is a legitimate issue, but battery development is moving at pace. And you can just look at the government's own website to see that. It has been promoting electric cars and the ability to go further and longer before you've got to recharge. You've got to have the battery recharging stations set up. It's going to be great around the CBD. It's not going to work so well for a while out in regional Australia because there just isn't the charging stations for long distance. I mean, you couldn't drive Sydney to Melbourne easily on today's technology. But by 2030, I mean, seriously, by 2030, people not think that there's going to be development in battery storage capacity and the technology around this. So the government got itself in a mess. Yeah. So Labor is right to be wanting to help go in that direction. But again, the government completely backflipped on its own policy agenda, which is to drive the growth of electric cars. But I think it was used early to focus on the whole issue around climate change, and it was allowed to be demonised.
Which is really odd, given Josh Frydenberg wrote an opinion piece just 12 months ago in support of it. I want to ask you quickly, Stephen, if you can, on the ongoing US alliance and relationship, because one of the benefits of the Morrison win is the continuity between the coalition government and its relations with the Trump administration. Would you concede that?
Not at all. I don't think there's any benefits to a Morrison government win, frankly, but I could be biased. Look, it has not mattered over 70 years who's been in government. There has been bipartisan commitment to the US alliance. They are our only treaty.
Bill Shorten did call Donald Trump crazy.
That is a statement of fact. So you've just got to look at his ridiculous behaviour in the US. I mean, he's insulted a princess on tape and then says, I didn't say it. I mean, you've got a bloke here, he's a property developer. I mean, he lies for a living. And so Donald Trump has just continuing his regression through his life, which has been to, say I've got a building of 120 stories when it's only 110. I mean, this is a bloke that you can pretend and say, oh, it's just a bit of fun exaggeration, but this is a bloke who does not represent the truth. I mean, how can you sit there credibly, look in a camera and say that I didn't say that when there's a tape of him saying it? I mean, this is a bloke who's done this all his life. But the US alliance is bigger than a crazy guy in the White House. The US alliance is a bedrock of Australia's security. And so both parties have been committed to it and both parties will continue to be committed to it.
Well, Stephen Conroy, you're obviously not a man who is ambitious for the job of ambassador in Washington anytime soon.
No, I did enjoy reading that. I thought, oh, that won't go well.
Stephen Conroy, thanks for that.